So we have in our Trusted Partner Series today, Joe Maloy. He was an Olympic athlete. Now, the biggest thing is that you've been coaching for some time, right?
I have.
So how long have you been doing that for?
So I was actually a coach before I was an athlete. So
okay. That's how good of a coach you were.
I coached myself. Yeah. So when I graduated college, I went to Boston College. I graduated in 2008. And I was an assistant swim coach for 2 years before I actually did take that coaching eye on myself.
Yep.
And when I started to feel like a hypocrite telling kids to explore their potential and see how decisions connect to results, and triathlon kind of became my proving ground.
Beautiful.
And then after my professional career, I've pivoted back to coaching.
And you were in the Rio Olympics?
I was.
Now, what was that experience like?
I think as an athlete, you have a choice before any competition, and you can either make it something you've never done before, or you can make it very familiar and something that you've trained to do.
Sure.
So my approach for that, even though it was my first Olympic Games, was to make it just another race, just what I've trained to do. It's swimming, biking, and running, and I kind of blocked out a lot of that noise just with the focus on competing.
You know, when we're high achievers, we try and put ourselves out there, but then we actually have to perform. And that can probably be the scariest part for most people, right? Because the training is like comfortable and safe, even though it's challenging. But then there's like a stage that we have to perform on. So I don't know if you could explain a little bit about your experience around some of those things with your mentality and some of your coaching ethos with that.
Oh, exactly. There's a lot there. So I think first off, let's start with, this is something a lot of people at this stage of life, they do for fun. So I think the fun part about working with athletes is figuring out what that means to them. What is fun about this? And working towards performance while acknowledging, hey, this is what fills your cup. So make sure you're doing this with somebody else, doing this in a cool place. You know, how are we ticking that box as well as the performance box?
Now, as a high-level athlete, a lot of people, when they hear these things, they're like, do I need to be this top-tier level athlete? What would you kind of say to that?
I'd say it's up to you. You know, one of the things, I define myself as an endurance coach because of the endurance process. And really, to me, I'll define that. Endurance process is what you do every day. And, you know, I think sometimes we think of sports as things that happen on TV. But I think of them more as processes, which we work towards every day. And they're actions with compounding results. So it's daily investments, daily decisions, and choices that have this result that's down the road that we plan for. And that's to me what it means to be an endurance coach. It's somebody who helps people make those decisions on the daily. We do sport to compete, chase results, do events, achieve things we haven't done before, or explore our potential. Then on the individual level, it's about managing that relationship between an athlete's mind and their body. And we have data and watches, biometric sensors, all this stuff that helps give us indications of what that relationship is like. But the coaching that I'm most interested in is, what's that conversation, and what are you telling yourself when you see that stuff?
You're essentially a prisoner to the data, right? You're using it as whether or not the things you're doing are having a positive impact or not, more so.
Right. I want to know about that relationship that you have with your body, and use the data, use events, use your daily decisions as opportunities for you to look at that relationship and improve it.
Where you're going to win long term is being a student of the process, right? Fundamentally. Creating a positive impact in people's lives is something that we both share as coaches, right? Because I'm more of a body coach, you have more of a skill-based coach. The body and the mind are all inherent, and if we don't address both of those, I don't think you can really be an effective coach. And I think that's one of the reasons why we like to partner with Joe too, because he asks questions. He spends time to learn with you. That's the same process that we do here. I think there's a lot of people that say, hey, I'm doing a sprint triathlon and I need a program, can you send it over? And you can lay that out. I think we understand that, but there's another layer there that should be addressed as a whole. Why are we doing a sprint triathlon? right? Like just the whole thing,
Exactly.
right? It's asking more questions.
Professionally, a little bit about my coaching practice.
Yep.
I work with a decent amount of clients one-on-one through either personal training sessions or writing them plans towards either specific events or on an ongoing basis. Some of my clients just like the discipline of a training routine year-round. That's the primary focus of my business. What I'm building out this year are more kind of events-based offerings where I could say to somebody, oh, you want a 16-week training plan to an Olympic distance triathlon, here you go. And also equipping them with some tools. I've partnered with a technology developer to build an app that's kind of for targeted accountability and habit creation. And then also on delivering kind of like scalable training sessions. And basically it's sort of like a combination of Zwift and Peloton, if you're familiar with cycling apps.
How would you deliver some of these programs? Is it through certain apps and things like that? Or are you just sending emails with documents? Is it through the Velocity app? Is that essentially what you're using?
Yeah, so Velocity comes through, through a desktop or tablet. You log on and it's a live cycling class with me from wherever you are.
I see. All right,
and it connects to an Athlete Smart Trainer. But it also has an online library of classes that I have taught. Where you could access and just log in at your convenience.
And then what's the medium that you deliver those different triathlon programs and stuff like that? I know you have some partnerships with like cause events and things like that.
Yeah, so I deliver my training through Today's Plan, which is, it's a daily calendar that allows me to deliver training plans, workouts, instruction, reminder emails, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we need the reminders.
Yeah, so it's a way for me to talk to you every day.
You know, what does that mean to you, and how do you blend, you know, this endurance world and your professional life with family and you know, kind of carrying this experience that you've created for yourself and passing that on to your children? Like, what does all that look like for you?
Yeah, it's been a perspective shift for me, as I'm sure any parent will tell you. It changes the way I see the world. And it's changed my outlook on coaching. I would have given it a different answer on what it means to prepare and coach somebody for an event 3 years ago, before I had my first kid. And the way I like to summarize it is, I used to think it was about who you left behind, and now I think it's more about who you bring with you.
Just for, you know, the audience and stuff like that, what's one of your like favorite coaching moments that you've had? Because you have about a decade of experience coaching. I'm sure there's been maybe one or two moments that stand out to you.
So one tied to an event would be, actually just this past weekend I had a client who was a buddy from college, had gotten into running afterwards and was doing the London Marathon. His previous best before we started working together was in the low 3 hours. And I woke up to a text from him this weekend saying he went 2:57.
There we go.
And it
gotta break the barrier.
It gave me chills, because this was somebody who had, you know, I think so many of us have these fully baked ideas of who we are as athletes that stop when we're done school or done high school. And I loved working with this particular individual to help him see something that I learned in my 20s, that being an athlete is a lifelong journey. And for him to realize this result as he's just kind of starting out.
He's getting older and better.
He's getting older and better, yeah.
It's both.
You know? But also just kind of like, better is not the goal, process is the goal, and exploration. And so that's one moment, but as a coach, those are the moments that fire me up. You know, because it's not me waking up and going out and doing a race like it was when I was an athlete, but I get that same juice and the same nerves before checking the message or going to the race and seeing what happens.
You're like, checking out, are they done? Are they done? Are they done? Right? Yeah, totally.
And then another one came from actually an individual who pushed me to get into coaching. So when I first kind of pivoted away from professional sport, and this individual approached me and said, hey, I think you'd be a great coach. Would you be open to working with me? I told him no. I was like, I am done. And I dabbled in some other things, but that conversation kind of kept popping into my head, and we've worked together for the past 7 years.
Oh, nice.
And he has said on multiple occasions that my perspective, not just through the training sessions, but on what we talk about.
Yeah, the depth of conversation and the breadth of conversation.
Yeah, what he learns about himself through, a workout where he's succeeding
immediate.
or failing or whatever.
Yep.
And how we look at that has helped him operate on a higher level than he said he's ever operated in his life, which is really neat.
Yep. And this is the thing, right? Like, they seem like simple, straightforward things, being a running coach, being a body coach, working with people, but the ripple effect that we can create is probably the biggest goal and fulfilling component of it, because you can impact all aspects of people's lives or other people in those people's lives. So that's the beauty of it.